Adriana. Good morning, Adriana. Good morning. I'm kind of like not awake. My nose itches. Hi, Neil. How are you? Ah, wait, hold on. I'm not sure what's going on here. What's going on? Tell me what's going. Yeah, it's picking up off the wrong microphone. It just takes it a minute to realize there's another microphone that they can use. Sorry. I feel very loud. Well, I wonder why I feel so loud. Hold on. No, it doesn't wanna do it. It doesn't want. There you go. Oh no, that's not it. Oh yeah, it is it. Wait, what? Oh, I don't know what I just did. Okay, don't do anything. Do this. Oh, man, I hate it when I choose the wrong thing. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Anyway, good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Low volume. Hold on. Is this better now? Volume A. Is that like Timothy Chalamet? Yeah, I know. It was me. Shocker. It was me. Good morning, everybody. Happy whatever day it is. I don't even care anymore. I don't care what day it is. Okay, how about that? Was looking out the windows for voices. Where are they now? La 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 la. Anyway, good morning. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're well. Welcome to Wake and Bake with Lolo. I'm Lolo. And it's already happening. Good morning, good morning, Oomph. Good morning, Neil. Good morning, Adriana. Good morning, Butterflies. Butterflies, how are you? I hope you're well. I hope you're well. Muskie, you got shit to do? Okay, no more. Oh, you moved and you're putting stuff away? That's so I mean, it's not exciting, but it is kind of exciting. Kind of. So that's good. I'm glad. I hope you're happy. That's all that matters. That's all. I hope you're happy. We have so much this morning. So there's a lot. Okay, listen, there's a lot going on. Good morning, Karen. Good morning. Good morning. That's so exciting. I love moving. I would love to move. You're happy you live in a 300 person town? I would love to live in a 300. You know what? I have a picture of where I want to live. Let me show you. Hold on. I'm going to show you where I want to live. I'll do this. I don't think it has any sound. This is where I want to live. If you want to know the truth. I want to live here. Can I live here? Can I just live here, please? Can I live here? Who's wearing the crown today? Ooh. Surprise, surprise. I want you to have a gold star. Hi, Hags. Where are you? I didn't see you come in. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Oh, there he is. Hello, darling. Hi, Adriana. Butters, Neil. Oh, Jane. Butters. Butter. Anyway, this is where I want to live, okay? Is this impossible? I know this is a hotel. I don't want to live in the hotel. Don't get me wrong. But I just want like a little ADU somewhere around here. I would stick an ADU like right here. And then I could just You think they'd let me do that? No. No. Damnation. Bitches. Bitches wouldn't let me do that. It's mixed. Oh yeah. I understand. Anyway, good morning. Happy Wednesday. We have a lot to do. Actually, there's stuff that's already started. I don't know what these people's problems is, but well, I suppose it's because it's already almost 10 o'clock on the East Coast, but it's not here. um, So, do you love my dream home? Well, that's actually a hotel. So it's not like I'm not going to live in the hotel. It's okay if you grow up in a small town and live there. It's tough to move to a small town. They all know each other and you'll never be part of the clique. I could see that happening. I could see that happening. Oh, my chair's really low. Hold on. Oh. Ooh, and now my chair's too tall. Oh, hold on. Okay. Oh, nope, too tall. Uh, isn't it beautiful? I just want a little square. I don't even need a lot. I don't need land. I mean, I don't need a lot of land. I just need I need just a place to put a little house. That's all. I'm in the middle of remodeling a mother-in-law unit in Priest River right now on the river. Oh my god. Haggard, that's what I want. I mean, maybe not on a river because they rise, but that's what I want. You live in the driftless area of Wisconsin. No glaciers were here. It's beautiful. Oh my gosh, I bet it is. I bet it is beautiful. Wow. That's really cool. I'm sweating today. It's really warm out here. I don't know about you guys. How is it where you are? Is it really warm? Is it mild? What happened? What happened to you guys? Oh, look at the cat. Which cat is that? I think it's Sam. I don't really know. I can't really tell. I'm really sweaty today, aren't I? Do I look like shiny? I look like shiny. What does no glaciers mean? I don't get that. Glaciers were definitely here. Why? What about the glaciers? I don't understand. Not sure I understand. Do you post before and after? Oh, I don't know, but Haggard's very talented. He's also a chef, by the way. If you don't know that about Haggard, he's also a chef. He used to have his own restaurant. Anyways, good morning and happy Wednesday. There's a lot going on today. Some sort of no ice dog was oh. Oh, okay. Yeah, that might be it. Yeah, Haggard's a good egg. I've known Haggard a long time. Haggard and I hung out in Huntington Beach too once when he came through here. He's a good egg. He's a good egg. Yeah, we hung out with Clearing the Fog. That's right. Remember that? We had tacos on the beach with Clearing the Fog and Create No Hate. It was so great. It was such a little Twitter meeting. I lived in a yuppie neighborhood when I was single. Every time I'd have a breakup, everywhere I went, I ran into an ex with her new boyfriend. Oh, that's just like those Hallmark movies. That's just like those Hallmark movies. They do that too. They run into all their exes because it's such a small town. Maybe I wouldn't like that. Oh, actually, I do have a story like that, kind of, sort of. Not really. Actually, no, not at all. But anyway, I was actually, when I went up to visit my brother in law, and my family, who's all up there. But we went out to lunch in where I grew up, kind of in the area where I grew up, because that's where they live. And I saw a guy that I had the biggest crush on in high school. We never dated because he was like this huge soccer player, but he was really like painfully shy and he just didn't like a bunch of girls kind of liked him, I think probably. But he just wasn't interested in girls, you know, like he was totally doing like soccer in high school and stuff like that. Oh my God. I had such a crush on this kid. Oh my goodness. But he was at lunch with, I presume his wife. I don't know who he was with lunch with, but I'm assuming that's it. And yeah, but I didn't have the guts to go up and say, "Hey, I'm, you know, so and so from high school." And because I don't think he even knew who I was, even though everyone knew I had this huge crush on him. You know what I mean? Did you ever have that? Did you have that in high school or in your youth? I just had the biggest crush, and I didn't at this fucking age, I didn't have the guts to go up and say, "Hey, nice to see you again." I went to your high school. I guess that would have been dumb. I'm glad I didn't do it. Hey, good morning, gal. I'm glad I didn't do it now that I think about it. Yes, please hit the like. That would be so lovely. I would just so appreciate that. Anyway, this morning we have a lot going on, and I have to leave, unfortunately, at least by like 9:45 my time. So I have 3 hours to really delight you and entertain you. And what I'm going to start off with, unfortunately, is AI. Because there's already an AI, or not AI, there's a hearing in progress as we speak. And so I'd kind of like us to watch that. Anyways, it started earlier than they usually do, but we're going to go. We're going to go for it. So, good morning. How are you? I hope you're well. Here we are. Here we are on yet another day. Okay, where's my. Oh, there it is. 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 Okay, that's too big. Ah, so frustrating. You know when your mouse doesn't work or your fingers don't work and you click on the window, but then the window goes away? That's what I'm dealing with. This. Where the fuck is that screen now? Oh, there it is. Ugh. I wish you could resize things a little bit easier on like OBS. You know, OBS is very, very manual, and I find it very frustrating sometimes because everything is so very manual. All right. This is what I wanted to show you. Okay. With the beautiful Representative Sewell, who I adore, sent the PDF via Signal screenshot and the PDF here. What's this? What's this? What's this? Oh dear. Oh dear. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. 2020 is not over, people. 2020 is not over. All right. I'm going to actually, I kind of want to read this first, and then I'm going to go to the hearing, which is already in progress, so it doesn't really matter. Hold on. Okay. So this is a post from 5GW this morning on Blue Sky. Don't take your eyes. Whoa. Hey, wait a minute. What's going on here? Oh, hold on. I know what's going on. Okay. There we go. Don't take your eye off the bouncing ball for 2026. Good morning, Jay Rance. Jay Rance, I missed you. What's going on? Yeah, it is the Stupid Genius Act. National Guard back out of LA. That's right. That's right. And 2026 is not a given. DOJ hit states with broad requests for voter rolls and election data. Yep, here we go again. Here you come again. Lying like an asshole about how you won it. Election clerks in both parties already facing harassment and lawsuits over Trump's false 2020 election claims, efforts to examine voting machines. Gerrymandering in the biggest degree. So this is a Washington Post article, but Gal was kind enough to cut some pieces out. Here we go again. Let me see if I can just do something here. Since I'm so very, don't it make my brown eyes blue? Okay. What? Oh, that's that. Nah. 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 Oh, really? Really, Grease? Okay. Sorry. All right. That's fine. I'll have to just try and read this. Hold on and bear with me. Hi, Kevin. How are you? Good morning. Good morning. Annette. Good morning, Annette. How are you? It's so good to see you. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm happy everybody's here. I missed you guys. Jay, I felt so bad about Monday. I don't know how I I ham-handed that thing on Monday, and I'm sorry. It's no problem. I can read it. I know what I can do. I could put on my glasses, and then I could really read it. How about that? Okay. DOJ hits states with broad requests. The Trump administration and its allies have launched a multi-pronged effort to gather data on voters and inspect voting equipment, sparking concern among local and state election officials about federal interference ahead of the 2026 election. Even Hagman is turning on Trump over Epstein. I was listening. Really? Harriet Hag. Oh, well, I will apologize because I feel like I rammed on that. But yeah. Annette's another Canadian. Annette's also we got a lot of Canadians in here, Annette. You're at home. I thought you were talking about Texas and gerrymandering. It's supposed to be every 10 years and it's only been 5. Oh, well, that I wouldn't doubt about that. I wouldn't doubt about that. I know his puppies are so cute. Thor and Loki are so cute. They really are. The most unusual activity is happening in Colorado. Oh my God. Oh boy, a state that then candidate Donald Trump lost by 11 points, where a well-connected consultant who says he is working with the White House is asking county clerks whether they will allow the federal government or a third party to physically examine their election equipment. Federal agencies have long offered technical assistance and cybersecurity advice to election officials, but have not examined their equipment because election laws tightly limit who has access. Okay? All right. Oh, dual. Sorry. Yes. Dual citizenship. Oh, yeah, that's right. Jane has dual citizenship. Separately, the Justice Department has taken the unusual step of asking at least 9 states for copies of their voter rolls, and at least 2 have turned them over, according to state officials. In addition, 2 DOJ lawyers have asked the states to share information about voters to implement a Trump executive order that would shift some power over elections from the states to Washington. Courts have temporarily blocked. Wait, have temporarily blocked. Where did I lose this? God damn it. Temporarily block key provisions of that order, including changing mail ballot deadlines and requiring voters to provide proof of citizenship. The DOJ attorneys have asked to talk about a different provision, which has not been halted by the courts, focused on sharing information. The administration efforts, fueled by Trump's false claims that the 2020 election was stolen, have rattled state and local election officials blah, 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 from both parties who have spent years contending with threats, harassment, and litigation. Under the Constitution, states are responsible for running elections, and the federal government plays a limited role, such as by dictating when states must offer opportunities to register to vote. That must be spelled out by Congress. Election officials fear the administration could try to build a national file that includes personal information about voters or impose rules that would boot eligible voters from the rolls and make it harder to cast ballots, which is exactly what they did state by state, especially in places like Georgia, where they challenged everything. It's really fucking ridiculous. So, what else? This is very good. This is an extraordinary imposition of federal power over state election processes that, if accepted by the states in this context, will be absolutely used by Democrats in another context, said David Becker, executive director of the nonprofit Center for Election Innovation and Research, who worked on the Justice Department's voting section under President Bill Clinton and George Bush. A Justice Department spokesperson declined to comment on the activities. The White House did not answer questions about whether it was working with Jeff Small, the operative who has been contacting Colorado clerks, but said the president is committed to helping states ensure voter rolls are citizens. That's what it is. That's all it is. We're just checking. Republican officials, election officials in Colorado, fielded calls and messages last week from Small, a consultant who has worked for members of Congress, most recently serving as chief of staff to Representative Lauren Boebert. Oh, oh. Small told more than a half dozen GOP county clerks by phone or text that he was working with the Trump administration to ensure the integrity of elections and in advance, uh, uh, I guess to advance Trump's election agenda, county officials told the Washington Post. To me, it felt like they were wanting to intervene before 2026, said Justin Grantham, a Republican clerk in Fremont County. 5 other Republican clerks raised similar concerns. That's a hard stop for me, said Carly Kupis, a Republican clerk in Weld County, who said she rejected Small's overtures to allow a federal inspection. Nobody gets access to my voting equipment for security reasons. More than 350 election officials from at least 33 states joined a conference call Monday to learn more from Becker's group and Democratic and Republican lawyers about the potential implications of the administration's moves. Wait, now I lost again. Okay, so moves. Election officials have long bristled at the notion of federal intrusion. In 2017, during Trump's first term, officials from both parties declined. I wish it was his last term. Both parties declined to give a presidential commission detailed information on voters, with Mississippi GOP Secretary of State telling the task force to jump in the Gulf of Mexico. Good job. Good job. All right. And then let's see. In a Saturday social media post, Dump made clear he remains focused on election policies and his 2020 falsehoods, writing that Attorney General Pam Bondi is looking into the rigged and stolen election of 2020. His administration's latest push for voting data comes a year and a half before the midterms, when Democrats hope to take control of the House, chip away at a Republican majority in the Senate, and do more with government. No, we have to have an all-out blowout. I'm sorry. There's no, we'll take the House. Oh. The Justice Department's outreach has differed from state to state, according to agency letters and emails. In Colorado, it made a sweeping request for all records related to its election. In Alaska, it questioned why voters had been removed from the rolls for mental incompetence. I know that's not funny. It's not. It asked in several states. It asked detailed questions about the process to remove non-citizens and other ineligible voters from the rolls. Grantham, the Fremont County clerk, said Small asked him if he would allow a third party to review whether his voting machines complied with federal law. Grantham declined the request, he said, citing state laws that restrict access to voting machines. Oh my God. Who, I can't even tell you. I can't even tell you how much this draws me into like fucking trauma. I'm going to tell you right now. Yeah. Okay. And last week, election officials have been on edge in Colorado since 2020, partly because of Tina Peters, a former Mesa County clerk who was sentenced to 9 years in prison last year over a scheme to let an outsider into secure areas of her office and copy election data. This spring, Justice Department made an unusual move to assist Peters with her appeal. I don't know what to say anymore. I don't know what to say anymore. The post 2020 election was exhausting for everyone. And I want to say I feel particularly put upon by this story because I spent so much time looking at the idiots that were denying the election in 2020. And I'm going to be honest with you, even though the election was lost last year, I thought they were gone. I really did. I thought they were gone. If I never had to say Doug Frank's name again, I would be so delighted. I was fine with that. even though we got no justice except for Tina Peters, I would have been fine with that. But here we are. Here we are. They're just not going to let it go, and they're going to crime as much as possible. They're not only going to have stolen the 2020, well, they're not only going to have attempted to steal the 2020 election. They're going to make us live through their revenge on people that tried to hold them accountable. And it looks to me like they're probably going to try and fuck with the election again. Every accusation is a confession with this party. Every single fucking one. And I don't know, I would actually suggest that someone, I don't know who, like some kind of election oversight, something or other, or independent, like an NGO that audits elections, I would really strongly suggest that we have election watchers like they do in foreign countries when they don't know the election's going to go well. And that's not going to work because the Republicans will probably shoot us if we try to do that. I'm just, what the fuck? I can't anymore. Like we tried to tell everybody on this. We tried to tell everybody. Everybody tried to tell everybody. And here we are again. I'm going to move this over here. I can't read it over there. But I can read it here a lot easier. Okay. Grantham, the Fremont County clerk. Oh, wait. I already read that. And last week, Small contacted clerks claiming to have ties to Trump. I am reaching out on a timely election integrity project I'm working with the White House on and was hoping to chat. Read one text message from Small to a county clerk. A message to another clerk said the outreach was from Stephen Miller, the White House Deputy Chief of Staff. Steve Schleicher, the Republican clerk of El Paso County, and Small told him he was working with the Justice and Homeland Security departments to team up with clerks on election security. Soon after their conversation, Schleicher said he got a call from Homeland Security official who wanted to review his election equipment. We would like to test the voting equipment to see if there's any gaps, the official said, according to Schleicher. Schleicher said the administration had no authority to try to infiltrate a state or county's election equipment. Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold likened the efforts to Trump's unsuccessful push to reverse the 2020 election, which ended with his supporters rioting at the U.S. Capitol. This is the 2020 playbook on steroids, Griswold said. She would know. She was a prime target of the post-election bullshit. This all is part of a bigger ploy to further undermine our voting in this country, she said. They're actively in a power grab. Matt Crane, a Republican and the executive director of the Colorado County Clerks Association, said election officials from both parties resist attempts to examine their equipment. Anybody who is asking for access to the voting machines outside of the law, that automatically raises red flags in terms of their intent, he said. Well, what's going to stop them from getting like sheriffs to do that? You know what I mean? Hello. What's going to stop them from getting sheriffs to do something? They're very desperate. We have to assume we've got a wounded animal. Small hung up on a Post reporter Tuesday and did not respond to messages seeking comment. A spokeswoman for Boebert declined to comment on the outreach by two clerks by her former chief of staff. A Homeland Security spokesperson said that the agency works closely with others on election security, but that we don't disclose every single conversation we have with them. Separately, the Justice Department has recently asked some states for copies of their voter lists. Those inquiries went to a mix of Republican and Democrat-controlled states, including Alaska, Colorado, Florida, Minnesota, Nevada, New Hampshire, New York, Oklahoma, and Wisconsin, according to copies of the letters and information from state election officials. Some information contained in voter rolls, such as names of voters and elections in which they have participated, is commonly available. Other information, such as the last 4 digits of their Social Security number, is not. Colorado and Florida have provided the Justice Department with information from their files, from their list that is generally available to the public, while most other states said they were reviewing the request. Federal law gives the Justice Department the ability to ensure states have procedures in place to remove the ineligible voters and otherwise properly maintain their rolls. It does not expressly give the agency the authority to review the voter rolls themselves. States routinely check their rolls.
Subcommittee of Health will come to order.
Hold
And I
on.
will take first a brief
Hold
point of
on.
personal
Hold
privilege. This is my
on.
first.
Nobody cares about you. We've got a few things lined up, so you may hear some stuff break in, but I'll get it. No. How many pages was it? Did I read? Oh yeah, here we go. Federal law. Okay. States routinely check their rolls to identify people who are ineligible because they are not citizens, have moved to another voting jurisdiction, have been convicted of a felony, or have died. The administration could do its own checks with copies of voter rolls, but it would need versions with dates of birth and other identifying information of property to properly match data with citizenship, death, and court records, according to experts. Ann Jacobs, chairwoman of the Wisconsin Elections Commission, said she worries about the federal government could try to use the information to justify new rules that would make it harder to cast ballots. The sloppy use of data can result in inaccurate matches that give election skeptics opportunities to tout exaggerated claims of ineligible voters appearing on the rolls, Jacobs said. Voters deserve answers about why the administration wants information about them and what it plans to do with it, she said, particularly when federal laws are supposed to protect Social Security numbers and other private information. I mean, we're getting into, well, whatever. It's an authoritarian regime. Is this a backdoor way to get access to the data that the states have said they are not entitled to have, or that the statutes have said they're not entitled to have? Said Jacobs, a Democrat. The Justice Department's voting section last month in Orange County, California. The Justice Department's voting section last month, sued Orange County, California to obtain driver's license numbers and signature images of people who had been taken off the county's rolls because they were not citizens. The lawsuit has worried election officials elsewhere because it signals department wants access to personal information that is usually protected. Justin Levin, a Loyola law school professor who advised the Biden White House on voting rights, railed the request for voter rolls as exceptionally unusual and said they probably violate federal privacy law because the administration has not given fuller public explanation for why it wanted them. He also worries about the security risks of the federal government housing sensitive data on 174 million registered voters in a centralized system. It's one thing if a county, hold on. Who's talking now? You are. Okay, hold on. We're not ready for you yet. Oh man. I think I'm done. Oh, it's one thing if a county voter file gets hacked. It's a much bigger problem if the federal government is amassing a national voter file that gets hacked. Well, there's another thing we have to worry about. God damn it. Good morning, Teresa. Sorry, I was just struggling with some morning stuff. Okay, so now I don't trust the mail though, so I drop it off. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we've got a few things going here. We have proposals to improve the public health workforce. Wait, let me show you this actually. La 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 la. Okay, we have the following. We've got proposals to improve public health workforce, rural health, and over-the-counter medicines. We've got, this one has started this is Sean Duffy, actually, I think. Hold on. This one's Sean Duffy, transportation budget. And then there was the last one. Oops, I don't know what that is. It's coming later. Oh, the crypto one. This is the rural health, and then I have a crypto one too. Where is it? Oh, well, I can get rid of my webcam. The Committee on Education and Workforce. So that is safe workplaces. This is OSHA. That one is also, that's going. So what do you guys want to watch? This is supposed to start too. Yeah. Artificial intelligence. And we've got the crypto one. Where's my crypto one? Where'd the crypto one go? Maybe at health hearing we hear about Brainworm Bobby fired chief of staff and top aide. Oh, really? All right. Oops.
The Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure will come to order, and I'd ask unanimous consent that the chairman be authorized to declare
This is
recess
is this the OSHA?
at any
No.
time during today's hearing without objection.
Damn
That
it.
is
I'm
so
sorry.
ordered.
I'm like all
As a reminder, if
fucked up.
members insert a document into the record, please also email
here's
it
the
to
other one.
documents
This is the other one.
at mail.house.gov. And so due to the expected votes this afternoon and understanding the Secretary's schedule after consulting with Ranking Member Larson, without objection, I would ask unanimous consent to limit member questions to 3 minutes each to allow maximum member participation. And I also will be foregoing my questions. So with that, I recognize myself for an opening statement, and I want to thank you, Secretary Duffy, Sean, for being here today to discuss the Department of Transportation's policies or programs and fiscal year 2026 budget request. You have had an extremely busy 6 months, and I appreciate you coming in to answer members of
Oh, God bless fucking.
the tragic aviation accidents in the recent months and years of
Hold on.
underinvestment in FAA's capital budget. This committee responded by providing the FAA with a $12.5 billion down payment to modernize air traffic control systems as part of the reconciliation bill. This funding will allow the administration to immediately get to work to replace critical telecommunications infrastructure and radar systems, invest in runway safety and airport surveillance projects, and replace antiquated air traffic control facilities. And I appreciate your work on the administration's brand new air traffic.
I think I'm going to switch us from this one. I know Sean Duffy is whatever, but I think I am going to go to the public health workforce, and let's see what happens in this one for a minute.
Thank my colleague from Ohio, Mr. Latta, I don't see him here, for introducing the legislation with
I'm
me
interested
for
to
this
hear
first
what she says.
reauthorization of the over-the-counter medicines program. And I look forward to seeing continued success of the program in the next 5 years. We were supposed to do this last week, but the Republicans postponed it because I guess they were celebrating the passage
No,
of,
I missed that
frankly,
one.
the worst piece of legislation.
McCary said we don't need
both in
randomized
process and
clinical
substance,
trials.
that I have seen in my time in Congress. The Republicans jammed through the big bad bill and its handouts to the wealthiest Americans literally under the cover of night, including in our committee, while real legislating to help our constituents was non-existent. Between cuts to Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act and the choice not to extend tax credits for health care coverage, 17 million people will now be without health insurance. I don't see anything beautiful in that. I don't see anything that's going to help the health of Americans. I think the law rolls back much of the progress that we've made in getting people enrolled early in health care when we passed the Affordable Care Act in the first place. Medicaid expansion was a lifeline to hospitals struggling to keep their doors open, not just for poor people, but for everybody in their community.
This is maxed
And now,
out.
faced with a financial cliff, many of those hospitals might close. So just last week, during our unplanned recess, I visited a Planned Parenthood clinic in my district that can no longer serve individuals covered by Medicaid
higher,
for
right?
routine, not abortions, but for routine medical exams like pap smears, breast exams. They have already had to cancel hundreds of appointments for people coming into these things. And these are people who are not going to be able to find
He likes
doctors
ice
anywhere
cream.
else.
That's his favorite food.
Frankly,
It was the
these
dairy
cuts are just
industry.
mean. They don't save money. And my colleagues across the aisle have preached
That's
for
what I
decades
thought it was, just about the
fiscal
dairy industry.
responsibility. But I guess that giving billionaires more tax cuts and kicking millions of Americans off their health care is more important. The big bad bill makes our mounting national debt even worse, increasing it by trillions of dollars to finance these tax cuts, and now much of it is law. Much of it won't go into effect for years, so I hope that we could work together in a bipartisan way.
And there's the
clean up this
artificial
mess of a law
intelligence thing
before
coming
it
up
hurts
too.
more
God,
people.
we've got a
And
lot.
apparently,
you
so
guys.
does Senator
There's a
Hawley,
lot.
who, after voting for the law just 2 weeks ago, introduced a bill that would reverse many of the cuts in Medicaid that he just voted for. So, you know, I pride myself in working in a bipartisan way on bills that will improve the health of our constituents and of all Americans. But I feel, and all of my colleagues on this subcommittee feel, that we've been frozen out of the work of this subcommittee from the beginning of the year.
Are the producers on board with all that?
Non-controversial to
I know he said they are.
the big bad bill that we just passed a couple of weeks ago. And so let's turn a new page, Mr. Chairman. Let's have a new
Didn't they agree to
era
look into
in
it?
our committee and go back to what we used to do, working together in a bipartisan way. I yield back.
Gentlelady is back. Now recognize the chairman of the full committee, Chairman Guthrie, for 5 minutes for his opening statement.
Thank you, Chairman Griffith. I congratulate you on your new role and excited as you lead your first health subcommittee hearing today as chairman. And I thank all the witnesses for being here before us today. I think Representative Carter had to run upstairs. 2 hearings kind of going on today upstairs. So I just want to commend him on his excellent work. As we talked about yesterday, and point out, I want to say this correctly, so I want to be misquoted, that he was at the funeral of his granddaughter's cousin. So it was not his granddaughter's cousin, who all 3 of them were at Camp Mystic. And fortunately, his granddaughter survived, but so sad for the Hunt family and the loss of their, and all the others. So, but he did a great job leading this committee, and he's going to continue to help Americans from a new role he's seeking here in Washington, D.C. I'm excited for him. But we're here today to discuss the reauthorization of FDA's over-the-counter monograph drug user fee program known as OMUFA, as well as several health workforce and rural health care programs administered by HRSA, which are all set to expire on September 30th of this year. This is the first reauthorization of OMUFA, and I look forward to hearing from the FDA's Dr. Jacqueline Corrigan-Curray, I think that's correct, on the implementation of the program and outcomes of the first 5 years of the program. The original bill reformed the regulation of over-the-counter drugs, products that so many of us and our constituents use every day, to reduce the bureaucracy, increase transparency, and allow innovation to flourish. The safety and efficacy of these products is critical, which is why reauthorizing this program in a timely manner is so important. And I'm also looking forward to hearing from our witnesses about ways we can improve participation in healthcare workforce.
Thing that I've tried to opt out of, but YouTube does it. Some kind of leaderboard.
Rural areas like my
dumb.
home
I
state
don't
of
know.
Kentucky face a unique set of challenges ranging from limited access to emergency services and specialized medical care to higher rates of chronic conditions like blood pressure, high blood pressure, and obesity. It is imperative for lawmakers to understand these nuances and ensure federal support is targeted to those areas.
And then there's 2
that need it the
nominations
most.
for the
I'm
national
hopeful that this hearing will provide us with an update on how these various
something
programs
in
are
labor
operating
board and the
and any gaps that
EEOC.
may need to be
God, there's
addressed
just too much good
to
stuff
streamline
going
and
on.
improve healthcare outcomes. And I appreciate my good friend from Colorado as she ended her opening statement saying that it's time for us to find opportunities to work together. I believe this is one of those great opportunities, and we'll have others. Some of the great pieces of legislation that are lasting and standing came out of this committee, like you worked with Cures, with our previous chairman, Fred Upton, and hopefully we can follow some of those pathways and find ways to work together. When we were on the other side of this,
In a real
majority,
office today.
on
I
the
hope
minority
everyone is
side,
doing
we-
well. Don't forget
we
about the
had
pending tariffs on
issues that we didn't
pharmaceuticals. I
support
know,
that
that's
came
what I
out
was
in a
thinking about,
partisan way,
Lee.
But we found
Good
ways
morning,
to work together, and
darling.
know
I
that
hope
we'll
your
be
day
able-
goes well.
On other issues, we'll be able to do that as well.
Make sure
So
you
thank you for
behave
that, and I
yourself.
thank the witnesses for your participation today, and I look forward to today's discussion and working together, and I will yield back.
Gentleman yields back now, recognize the ranking member of the full committee, Mr. Pallone, for 5 minutes for an opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations on your new post.
No, then people would buy them all,
Always
Max.
believe that the
Idiots
Health
would
Committee was
fucking
one
hoard
of our
'em.
most important subcommittees. Now, I know we're here today to discuss several pieces of health legislation, but we can't forget that Republicans just cut more than $1 trillion from our healthcare system, and 17 million Americans stand to lose their health insurance.
I might go on
And
to
that's an
something
increase
else.
in our
I'm so
nation's
sorry.
uninsured rate of more than 50%. These are people who will not have access to the health care they need, who will get sicker, who will be overwhelmed with medical debt, and sadly, some may die sooner. Moreover, hundreds of hospitals, nursing
crypto
homes,
or
and home care
AI?
providers will be forced to close.
What do you
We
think?
heard from hospitals, doctors, the elderly, and people with disabilities who have lined our hallways and this hearing room pleading for their health care. We heard from families who are afraid of falling farther and further behind, from patient groups who fear for people with cancer, substance use disorders, and countless others. But Republicans ignored these concerns. They will literally do anything, including taking health care away from their own constituents, to give giant
User
tax
fees.
breaks to
What's
the
that? Oh, for
ultra-rich who
this?
do
Yeah,
not need them.
I think this is going to
And
be
with that
pretty
said,
quick.
we're here to discuss several pieces of legislation.
Okay, I love you, Mr. Pallone, but I can't, unfortunately, I know, it's all important. This is the problem. It's all important, okay? It's not even that one of these is less important than the other one, but
Everyone to today's
this is
hearing
artificial
on
intelligence. I'm
and
so
criminal
sorry.
Exploitation. I now recognize the gentlewoman from Florida, Ms. Lee, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, no, we don't need
AI-enabled threats continue to evolve as bad
Sorry.
actors use
I'm
AI
all over the place this
technology in a
morning.
wide spectrum of criminal enterprises. From deep fake scams and synthetic identity fraud to financial crimes and child sexual abuse material, CSAM, the landscape continues to evolve at a rapid pace as AI provides users with enhanced capabilities. AI-based or AI-driven threats and schemes can cost businesses millions of dollars a year, including both prevention and falling prey to them. In one case,
Before you make
fraudsters
that.
used AI to clone a CEO's voice and authorize a wire transfer. Among corporations that experienced a rise in deepfake incidents, 75% of deepfakes impersonated
I'm
a
keeping an
CEO
eye on
or another C-suite
some Senate
executive.
nomination hearings,
Generative
too, to see
AI
if anything
enables the
blows
criminal
up there.
exploitation of victims' emotional vulnerabilities through tactics such as sextortion, pig butchering scams, phishing, and
Sextortion?
elder fraud. Senior citizens are increasingly targeted through voice phishing scams where an AI-generated replica of a grandchild or military officer claims to need urgent funds.
Breaking, they
In
got
one
fired for
case,
preferring the
a
mint
Colorado
chocolate
mother
chip.
received a call from what sounded like her daughter pleading for help. The voice was AI-generated, cloned from a short online clip,
True,
and
no more
used to
green
demand
mint
ransom.
ice cream.
The voice was indiscernible to the mother who wired $1,000 to scammers in Mexico. AI is also fueling a rise in sextortion
Whatever.
and synthetic CSAM. New AI tools can generate highly realistic but entirely fabricated explicit images, often used to extort minors or damage reputations. Some sextortion scams exploit the trust associated with platforms like Apple's iMessage by impersonating classmates or romantic interests via recognizable blue bubble interfaces. Criminals now deploy apps like
Cynthia
MUA to fabricate child abuse images at scale. Stanford University researchers have uncovered evidence that generative models were
just put
trained on
frogs
real
in it.
exploitative content.
Hello, that'll make
Terrorist
it
groups
green.
now utilize AI to target, recruit, and indoctrinate vulnerable individuals.
Hey, Biggs, why'd you
Generative
ask
AI
Slump for a
provides a
pardon
degree of
after J6,
separation,
huh?
allowing actual terrorists to maintain anonymity in their public-facing recruiting practices. Generative AI also allows terrorists to produce propaganda, fake news stories, and emotionally resonant messages tailored to specific psychological
What
profiles.
about violent anime cartoons?
Reports of generative artificial intelligence
Yeah, but it's
enabled
natural.
scams between May of 2024 and May of 2025 rose by 456%. The use of exploitative generative AI allows criminals to produce human-like text, code, images, and videos, allowing criminals to use the technology for further criminal activities such as creating more realistic phishing lures or generating deepfakes for extortion. On average, phishing attacks cost
For a minute, I thought he was talking about
$4.9
real
million
fishing.
per
My
breach.
brain went.
On the other hand, AI is increasingly integrated into police investigations, offering new tools and capabilities for law enforcement agencies amid the backdrop of rapidly expanding digital data sources and increasing demands on law enforcement agencies. AI provides a more adaptable and comprehensive approach to solving crimes compared to traditional methods leveraging data analytics, machine learning, and pattern recognition to enhance investigations and assist with administrative tasks. This is also potentially a problem as well, as we seek to balance curbing AI with our civil rights. AI can also help process large volumes of data, identify patterns, and generate actionable insights, and in turn, these applications can improve efficiency, accuracy, and resource allocation with investigative processes. However, to fully benefit from AI applications, law enforcement entities need reliable data, human oversight, and while also tackling issues related to privacy, bias, and ethical considerations. Addressing the continued misuse of AI will require a varied approach while also raising public awareness about the risks associated with AI-generated content. Law enforcement agencies must engage openly with community stakeholders, legal experts, and the public to communicate the intended uses, benefits, and limitations of AI technologies. A collaborative effort to both prevent the misuse of AI while encouraging lawful application is required to effectively navigate this evolving landscape. I am excited for today's hearing. I think this is the first of its kind. I believe it will be only the first of its kind as we consider AI and its continued expansion of influence in our lives. And I'm looking for a very substantive discussion that I anticipate a substantive discussion that we're going to have today. And with that, I yield back and recognize now our ranking member, Ms. McBath, for her opening statement.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our witnesses today. Thank you so much for taking moments out of your day to come before us. Thank you for convening this hearing to discuss AI-enabled crime, efforts to detect and combat such crime, and how law enforcement deploys AI tools. Like so many new technologies, AI is not inherently good or bad. AI-enabled tools can find patterns, sort through vast amounts of information, and may even help law enforcement solve their crimes. But in the wrong hands,
The girl talks too loud behind
same
her.
tools can be
Needs
used
not
to
talk so
commit
loud.
financial fraud, branch national security, or actually breach national security systems, and to harm our children. When used by law enforcement, this technology has the potential to empower our investigators while also carrying the risk of serious errors.
Okay, everybody behind her, shut the fuck up.
That is why it is critical that we proceed thoughtfully and put appropriate guardrails in place so that everyone in our criminal justice system is using AI-enabled tools, they're using them responsibly, not to the detriment of law-abiding members of our communities. We've already seen what can go wrong when those safeguards are missing. A woman and her family experienced the dangers of using AI-enabled facial recognition technology. Detroit police used a facial recognition tool in an attempt to identify a carjacking suspect using an image from a surveillance camera. The tool matched the surveillance image with a picture of Portia Woodruff, a nursing school student. One morning, as Miss Woodruff was getting her two children ready for school, police knocked on her door, and they told her that she was under arrest for carjacking. She knew right away there must be some kind of mistake, and she gestured at her body as she spoke to law enforcement to point out the obvious, she hoped, to law enforcement, that she was 8 months pregnant. Though the police had not been looking for a visibly pregnant woman, they still handcuffed Ms. Woodruff, took her away from her crying children, held her for 11 hours, searched her phone, and they charged her. After her release, she went straight to the hospital and was treated for dehydration. The charges were dismissed a month later. This case is especially troubling because facial recognition tools have been shown to perform worse on Black individuals, increasing the risk of misidentification and contributing to over-criminalization. AI is only as good as the data it is trained on. And when that data is biased, It exacerbates racial disparities, long embedded in our criminal justice system. An inaccurate tool is dangerous for every single one of us. Not one of us is immune to these mistakes. Thankfully, and in due part to cases like this one, the City of Detroit has adopted new rules to direct the use of facial recognition technology within its police department. And they're simply not alone. Many cities and states have put sensible guardrails in place to limit potentially harmful uses of AI. That's why it was alarming when some of my Republican colleagues recently attempted to pass a moratorium on state and local AI regulations in the Big Ugly Bill, a move that generated bipartisan opposition so much that 40 states' attorneys general and 17 Republican governors, including the governor of my state, Georgia, wrote letters to the Senate in opposition to the proposed moratorium. The governors warned that, and I'm quoting them, people will be at risk until basic rules ensuring safety and fairness can go into effect, end quote. As you'll see behind me, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the Republican governor of Arkansas and former press secretary to President Trump, took to Twitter to quote, "I stand with a majority of GOP governors against stripping states of the right to protect our people from the worst abuses of AI. The U.S. must win the fight against China on AI and everything else. But we won't if we sacrifice the health, safety,
that's
and
coming, though.
prosperity
Generative
of
AI.
our people." End quote. While this most recent proposal was ultimately stripped from
But
the
who's
bill
reasoning?
by a
Who's reasoning?
99-1
That's the
vote
question.
of the Senate, the Republican chair of the House Energy and Commerce Committee has already vowed to continue to pursue a moratorium, even while acknowledging that federal regulations on AI are still light years away. I stand with those seeking to protect the health and the safety and civil rights of our communities from the abuses of AI. And I hope that we can come together and follow the lead of the states to explore what those guardrails should look like and put them in place. I look forward to learning more from our experts here today. Hearing from you is going to be extremely critical for us on this very important issue. But before I yield, Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record two letters. The first, a letter from 17 Republican governors in opposition to a moratorium on state and local regulation on AI, and the second, a letter from 40 state attorneys general, both Republican and Democrats, in opposition to a moratorium on state and local regulation
Wow.
of AI.
Without objection.
I yield.
The gentlelady yields. Without objection, all of the opening statements will be included in the record. We'll now introduce today's witnesses, and we're very grateful for our witnesses. Dr. Andrew Bown, okay. Dr. Bown is a professorial lecturer in law at the George Washington University Law School, where he teaches courses on artificial intelligence law and policy. He has served in the United States Air Force Judge Advocate General Corps since 2010 and previously served as the Chief Legal Counsel of the Department of the Air Force Artificial Intelligence Accelerator at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Thank you, Doctor, for being with us today. Mrs. Zara Paramel, there you go, is the co-founder and Chief Technology Officer of Overwatch Data, an artificial intelligence company focused on threat intelligence and cybercrime tactics on the dark web. Prior to founding Overwatch Data, she worked at Google on matters involving machine learning and cybersecurity threats. Thank you for being with us today, Mrs. Paramel. Mr. Ari Redboard is the global head of policy at
Who went to
TRN
Harvard?
Labs, a company
Yeah.
focused on preventing illicit financial
Ted
activity.
Kaczynski went to Harvard.
He
You
previously
can go to
served
MIT.
as senior advisor to the
Yeah.
Deputy Secretary and Undersecretary for Terrorism and Financial Intelligence at the U.S. Treasury. Prior to Treasury, he was an assistant U.S. attorney where he focused on terrorism, espionage, financial, child exploitation,
Donald
and
Trump's
human trafficking cases.
Uncle did not
Thank you, Mr.
teach
Redboard,
Ted
for being with us
Kaczynski at
today.
MIT because Ted Kaczynski went to Harvard.
Mr. Cody Vinsky is a senior policy counsel in the ACLU's National Political
And they are
Advocacy
close to
Department,
each other, but
where
not
his work
that close.
focuses on surveillance, privacy, and technology.
They don't share students.
Specifically, he works on matters related to artificial intelligence, privacy, children's privacy, and civic uses of data. Thanks, Mr. Vinsky, for being with us today. We appreciate all of you being here, and now ask that you please rise so you can be sworn in. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm under bound you may begin with your 5 minutes?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, ranking member, and distinguished members of the subcommittee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on the intersection of artificial intelligence and criminal exploitation. My name is Andrew Bound. I serve as a professional lecturer at the George Washington University Law School, where I teach courses on AI law and policy. I've served in the United States Air Force Judge Advocate General's Corps since 2010, including assignments as a prosecutor, a staff judge advocate, so general counsel of the Air Force installation, and as you heard, a chief legal counsel for the Department of the Air Force's AI Accelerator at MIT. I do appear
that's some
today
good street
in my
cred.
personal capacity. Views I present are my own and do not necessarily reflect those of the Department of Defense, the Department of the Air Force, or the Judge Advocate General's Corps.
Or the university.
AI is both a catalyzing and transformative technology enabler. It accelerates traditional processes, but also creates entirely new ones. When the task AI is used for is criminal or harmful, the nature of AI becomes a threat multiplier. AI systems now automate decisions, model environments, and infer actions with unprecedented speed and scale. While they are designed to benefit society, their dual-use nature means they could also facilitate exploitation, fraud, and abuse. Even AI systems designed with legitimate use in mind can create harm if not carefully designed and deployed with safety, ethics, and accountability built in. Today, I'd like to briefly highlight how AI enables criminal activity, the gaps in current criminal law, and proactive steps Congress might take. First, how AI enables criminal activity. I'm seeing really three categories of AI developments that are of particular concern in this area. Computer vision, generative adversarial networks, or GANs, and large language models, or LLMs. Computer vision systems, which interpret visual data, are used to automate surveillance, identify targets, and even harvest personal data from breached documents to support identity theft and fraud. What enables real-time threat detection for public safety can be repurposed to stalk or blackmail individuals with chilling efficiency. GANs are capable of generating synthetic images, videos, and audio, better known in the public discourse as deepfakes. These tools allow the impersonation of public officials and private citizens alike. Multiple watchdogs and law enforcement agencies that have conducted longitudinal analysis on AI-generated child sexual abuse material, or CSAM, have reported rapid rises in the number of generated images shared online. Perhaps more concerning is that the increased capabilities and sophistication of generative AI models enable them to produce very realistic images.
I wonder if that's going to come up.
Generative AI tools are also used for extortion, grooming,
Marco
and
Rubio
emotional
was just
coercion,
spoofed. We haven't heard
often
enough
targeting
about
children.
that.
Large language models, like those powering chatbots, are revolutionizing phishing, fraud, and social engineering, as well as misinformation. They engage victims in extended realistic conversations, target elderly people and vulnerable people in scams, or overwhelming financial institutions with thousands of tailored loan applications. They're also used to generate malicious code, making cybercrime accessible to individuals with no technical background. In short, deepfakes, AI-generated CSAM, and automated fraud are not theoretical threats. They are real, growing, and causing harm now. The barrier to entry to using AI to perpetuate or perpetrate is low. Anyone with a few seconds of your voice or image can create convincing synthetic content without coding or expensive hardware. The tools are cheap, accessible, and often unregulated. Tragically, gaps in current federal criminal law allow bad actors to use AI to profit at the expense of others, prey upon the vulnerable, or create mistrust with impunity. While there are statutes for wire fraud and child sexual abuse material, they do apply to many of the AI-enabled crimes. There are several significant gaps. More alarming still are emerging threats such as autonomous
I don't know
criminal
about
activity,
Susie Wild. Yes, I think I did hear
cross-border
that about
AI-enabled
Susie,
crime, and
Teresa.
Market manipulation, for which criminal liability is unclear.
There's an
or altogether
independent
absent.
piece on the Marco Rubio spoof.
There are a variety
I
of
haven't read about
strategies
that actually
the
yet.
committee, as well as Congress, can consider, including criminal law reform that could define new offenses for malicious use of AI, particularly for deepfakes and AI CSAM. It could also provide sentencing enhancements for crimes aggravated by the use of AI tools when those tools augment the scale or impact of the harm, or make it more resource intensive to investigate and prosecute. You could also look at enabling AI safety and transparency requirements. And in conclusion, AI is a revolutionary enabler, but does not self-regulate. Bad actors choose to exploit it, the law must be ready. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the time.
Thank you, Dr. Bound. And we have your written testimony, which is more expansive, so remind everybody we have that, so appreciate that.
So don't panic.
Ms. Parnell, for you, we give you your 5 minutes now.
Chairman Biggs, Ranking Member McBath, and members of the committee, thank you so much for the opportunity to testify today and for creating this forum to discuss how AI is changing the landscape of cybercrime. I'm honored to share my perspective on how this technology is making these threats more accessible, more personalized, and more difficult to detect. My name is Zara Paramal. I'm the co-founder and CTO of DWatch Data, a cyber threat intelligence company that uses AI to identify and analyze emerging threats in the cybercrime and fraud ecosystems. Through our work, we see every day how AI is used to both prevent and also to facilitate criminal activity. I'd like to focus my remarks today on how we see AI changing the threat landscape and what we can do about it through both education and innovation. AI is a powerful general purpose tool with a broad range of applications for criminal activity and for a broad range of threat actors. It can be used to learn how to commit crimes, to write code, craft realistic scam text messages, generate audio or voice clones, and of course, create deepfake images or videos. Across this wide range of malicious use, 3 trends stand out. First, AI is reducing the barriers to entry for cybercrime. Users can ask a chatbot, including ones explicitly designed for fraud, how to commit crimes. They can learn the technical skills they need to carry them out, and they can also use it to make their attacks more convincing and more effective. Second, it's challenging businesses. By subverting identity verification systems, AI can be used to generate a photo for a fake persona or profile. It can then be used to generate high-quality synthetic fake IDs. And then if they're asked to verify their identity, they can join a video call, swap their face with their fake photo, and verify their access to that business. This is a problem not just for the specific business that's being targeted, but it's a problem because it gives them a foothold from which they can hide their identity for the future next online crime that they'll carry out. The third thing we see is crimes are becoming far more personalized. For example, voice clones are used to target the elderly by calling a grandparent in what sounds like their grandchild's voice and claiming to be in the hospital and in need of money. Employment scams prey on young adults who are looking for their first job. And I think one of the most disturbing cases is the nudifying apps, which often target children. They turn ordinary photos into fake sexually explicit images, which are then used to bully, harass, and extort victims, in some cases driving them to suicide. This abuse is carried out to children, both by their classmates and by remote criminals.
Teresa.
There's a lot of harm, there's a lot that's changing, but there's also a lot
Can
we
they
can
plastic, oh, can they
First,
3D print
education and awareness can
fingerprints?
prevent and deter many of these harms. These crimes work because people don't expect them. If we invest in education across schools, workplaces, and communities, we can make these crimes less effective and more costly to carry out. Second, we have an opportunity to combat this with innovation. The same technology that is enabling these crimes can also be used to detect scams, find malware, and disrupt cybercrime. By supporting innovation and strengthening public-private partnerships, we can shift the technical advantage to the defenders. While AI enables crime to be more accessible, more personalized, and harder to detect, I remain optimistic. With the right investment in education and innovation, we can engage our whole society in building a future where AI expands access to opportunity, strengthens safety, and helps people spend more time on what matters.
So all I've heard
On
is
a personal note, it's very
AI
exciting
is
to me
crime
to see that Congress
and
is
AI
addressing
can
this
be
issue
detect
and putting a
crime.
spotlight on it.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
And she probably makes
Thank you very much.
$450,000 a year.
Recognized for your 5 minutes.
Chairman Biggs, Ranking Member McBath, and members of the subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity to testify today on behalf of the American Civil Liberties Union. I will address 2 issues this morning. First, it is crucial that our response to criminal uses of artificial intelligence adhere to the Constitution, civil rights, and civil liberties. Second, efforts by Congress and the administration must not inadvertently open the door for AI abuses, such as through a moratorium on state regulation of AI or continuing consolidation of federal data. With appropriate measures, Congress can ensure that AI is safe, effective, and consistent with our rights and liberties. First, Congress's measures to address criminal AI must comport with the Constitution, civil liberties, civil rights, and privacy. For example, traditional First Amendment activities do not lose their protections simply because artificial intelligence was used. Editorial content moderation using AI is not categorically exempted from the First Amendment's protections, and neither is commentary on politicians or candidates for office.
Fingerprint?
Speech about politicians and candidates in particular lies at the heart of the First Amendment and enjoys special protection. Consequently, courts have readily and correctly overturned laws prescribing false speech about politicians and candidates. The emergence and use of AI does not change those core foundational constitutional precepts.
It shouldn't be allowed in political
Likewise,
ads.
privacy concerns may arise from obligations imposed
shouldn't
on
be allowed
platforms
in
that
political
host and
ads.
distribute AI systems. Requirements or incentives to search users'
That should be a law.
communications, to restrict their publication of models, code, and data, to monitor or report their online activity, or to prohibit or undermine encryption, all increase governmental surveillance and in some circumstances may violate the Fourth Amendment. As the committee considers legislation addressing criminal uses of AI, we urge you to ensure that speech, privacy, and other important civil liberties are protected.
And
Second,
AI couldn't
the
fabricate
recently
one.
rejected
Okay.
AI moratorium would have dramatically increased the risk of AI harms, including criminal and fraudulent activity.
Hey, oh,
Similarly,
good morning,
the
Bill.
consolidation
that's
of federal
beautiful
data
up
is
there.
creating an enormous risk of AI harms.
Oh,
The
wouldn't match a
moratorium that was
real-
included in versions of the reconciliation package was
What do you
sweeping,
mean?
preempting state laws and local regulations
it's
that
not
regulate
flesh?
AI for 10 years. Although the moratorium included
what
limited
you mean?
exemptions for some generally applicable laws, serious questions about the scope and workability of those exemptions remained. For example, dozens of states have passed laws regulating deepfake non-consensual intimate imagery, often by amending existing statutes to clarify their application to generative AI. Similarly, Tennessee's
Val, did
Elvis
you ever
Act
get it
extends
charged?
legal protections to a
Does the computer
person's
work at
voice,
all?
including a
I'm so
simulation
hoping
of
it
the
does.
voice. It is not clear if such
there's
laws with
anything
their
I can
express
do, let me
application
know.
or clear intent to apply to AI qualify as generally applicable. Moreover, in
Oh, on
many
statistical-
instances,
oh,
addressing
from an
AI's
AI
harms requires
perspective.
legislating specifically
Okay,
on AI.
got you.
Establishment of an AI moratorium
Oof,
will
man.
jeopardize these efforts, giving bad
This blows
actors
my
a blank
mind.
check. As Ranking Member McBath recognized, 17 Republican governors and members of both parties in both chambers of Congress opposed the moratorium before Congress stripped it from the reconciliation package in a 99-1 vote in the Senate. Of more immediate concern, consolidation of federal data creates a platform for supercharged AI-driven surveillance. And
Maybe
while
I
data
need-
consolidation
I-
and sharing
I should
can
probably
potentially
send you a block.
improve governmental operations in limited
Do you have an address
circumstances,
or anyone I can send it in
efficiency
care
should
of?
not be elevated over robust
That might
protection
help.
of
I
our
don't
privacy.
apply, but-
Otherwise, consolidation could
And a
risk the
cooling
creation of
pad.
vast and unaccountable surveillance platform capable of tracking citizens' activities, movements, and
me know,
associations.
love. I'm
Such a
happy to
platform
help.
would be readily analyzable by large language models, machine learning, and other AI systems, such as black box policing algorithms used by federal law enforcement to ingest governmental data and predict who is likely to commit crimes. Data consolidation could lead to biometric information
worries.
gathered by federal
All right,
law
love.
enforcement or
You do
during
you.
air travel
Don't worry. Don't
being readily
let me be
accessible by
pressured.
other agencies.
I don't wanna-
Records related to
let me be
firearms might be
pressured.
accessible across the federal government,
You just
and
hit me
IRS
up when
data
you need me,
reflecting
okay?
contributions to organizations like the ACLU, the NAACP, the NRA, or the Heritage Foundation could be accessible to federal law enforcement without meaningful process. It is essential for Congress to block the creation of centralized government dossiers on each of us. Thank you for the opportunity to testify before this subcommittee, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Vinsky. Now, Mr. Redboard, you're recognized for your 5 minutes.
Chairman Biggs, Ranking Member McBath, members of the subcommittee. My
This
name is
guy's
Ari
scary
Redford,
looking.
and it's an honor to appear before you today on behalf of TRM Labs, where we work every day with law enforcement,
Skynet.
financial institutions,
Oh,
and
fuck,
national
it is.
security
It is
agencies to
Skynet.
detect,
Fuck.
investigate, and prevent illicit activity in the digital asset ecosystem. Before joining TRM, I spent about 11 years as a federal prosecutor at the U.S. Department of Justice, and later as an official in the U.S. Treasury Department's Office of Terrorism and Financial Intelligence. In those roles, and now at TRM, I've seen one truth borne out time and time again. Criminals are often the earliest adopters of transformative technology. They were among the first to weaponize
calling Peter
automobiles to move
Thiel
illicit
a
goods across state
criminal,
lines,
sir?
adopt pagers and cell phones to
Girl,
coordinate narcotics
are you calling
networks,
Peter Thiel a criminal?
utilize encrypted messaging apps to evade surveillance, and exploit cryptocurrencies to steal and transfer illicit proceeds at the speed of the internet. And now they are embracing artificial intelligence. We are rapidly approaching a world in which the bottleneck for crime is no longer human
Meowing Star,
coordination,
good morning, first of all.
but computational
That's
power.
crazy.
When the
But
marginal
craziest
cost of launching a
smart people
scam,
think
phishing
weird
campaign,
things.
or extortion attempt approaches zero, the volume of attacks and their complexity will increase exponentially. We're not just seeing more of the same. We're seeing new types of threats that weren't possible before AI. Novel fraud typologies, hyper-personalized scams, deep-fake extortion, autonomous laundering. The entire criminal ecosystem is shifting. That is why today's hearing matters. We must recognize that in the same way criminals are leveraging AI to disrupt and deceive, law enforcement and national security agencies must be empowered to use AI to defend and respond.
Wait till
This
you
is
get a
not
load
optional.
of talkies.
It is foundational to preserving public trust and the social contract itself. If adversaries are deploying large-scale AI-enabled crime with impunity, and if the public no longer feels that government can protect them, we risk a breakdown of that trust.
Oh,
The consequences are not
that's a
just
higher
individual harms.
hallucination rate than
They
I
are
have.
systemic, national security level threats to our institutions and civic cohesion. At TRM, we see this shift every day. Through Chain Abuse, our public scam reporting platform,
Oh, we've got a Rush album controversy.
456%
Shit.
rise in AI-enabled scams, which often use deepfake technology just in the last year.
Oh, I get it. Took me a minute.
Ransomware actors are using AI to draft realistic phishing emails, identify vulnerable targets, and deploy malware that adapts to evade detection. On the laundering side, we're seeing bad actors use AI to automate and accelerate illicit money flows. We're also seeing fully autonomous fraud agents scraping personal data, launching scam campaigns, and even coordinating laundering operations. And most disturbing, we're seeing AI used to generate synthetic child sexual abuse material.
I know what color are the
Fake,
bugs.
but deeply harmful content traded online and weaponized in sextortion schemes. The solution to the criminal abuse of AI is not to ban or stifle the technology. It is to use it, and use it wisely. We must stay a step ahead of
whose
illicit
wisely?
actors by leveraging the
Which
same
wisely?
innovations they use for bad, for good.
Which
At
good?
TRM, we integrate AI at every layer of our
bad?
platform to combat crime, using machine learning
crime?
models and behavioral analytics to flag complex
behavioral
obfuscation
analytics?
techniques, trace illicit cryptocurrency transactions in real time, and identify emerging criminal typologies. We are developing and deploying AI-powered defense agents
I don't
at
think I
scale
like
to
him
map
either.
illicit networks, triage threats, and surface
I
early
have a
warning
lot of
signs.
questions for him.
These operational tools are already being used in the field to help global law enforcement agencies move faster, trace complex laundering schemes, and target the highest risk
Then why
activity,
don't they do better?
often stopping criminal networks in their tracks before they can cause further harm.
Really?
The future
Then why did
of crime
the
will
Dump
be defined by
administration
AI,
end all these
but
corruption
so will the future of enforcement.
groups that were looking
With the
into
right
corruption?
investment,
I don't get it.
collaboration, and technology,
Make it make sense,
we can
Mr.
meet this
TRM.
moment. Thank you again for the opportunity to testify, and I look forward to your questions.
Thanks so much. I
Call
appreciate
itself-
all of you and
Oh, no, I didn't
your
know what that meant.
testimony. and very, very
It is the bag
interesting.
man
I hope
talk.
we can get to some deep substance on it today. I now recognize the gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Knott, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the witnesses, thank you for coming to testify today. This is sort of a novel topic, but as each of you have stated
Novel
clearly,
my
this is a very
ass.
important topic, and development around the blockchain technology, AI technology, it's something that is sort of it's only going to become more prevalent and more dominant in just about every area of our life. And that's true here in America.
Oh
That's
man,
true
Mr.
overseas. I
Knott,
think
you
it's
have
gonna be
really
one of
nailed
those,
it on the head.
paramount
You've
moments
nailed
that is
that
gonna be,
hammer on the head.
sort of formative.
Indeed.
Where were you before? Where were you after?
Thank you for coming.
And to that end, as a former prosecutor myself,
Oh yeah.
when I was prosecuting, I came on at the very
When I was,
end of the AI-free
prosecuting.
crime. And I started to see how blockchain and cryptocurrencies and artificial intelligence was infiltrating every
All those
area
things. They're all
of the criminal
same.
world. And to that end, Mr. Redward, as the use of AI and blockchain technology does become more common and it does become more integrated in every avenue, there's
I'm
obviously
telling you,
access.
Karen, I've heard that from so many people that are Rush
domestic
fans.
actors that are criminal and
I get it.
international actors. There's really no border that's
Well,
recognized.
I mean, Max,
How
to
does
each
that
his own.
impact the criminal
there you go.
infrastructure, as it were, when you look at domestic
Bless
versus
the
international crime
libertarian.
and that relationship?
Thank you so much for
Is
the
there a
question.
libertarian?
Yes, I feel like you would uniquely understand this as a former AUSA as well. You know, look, we both prosecuted cases in a world where there were, networks of shell companies and hawalas and high-value art
Why
and real
didn't you
estate
do a better
used
job
to
then?
launder funds. But today,
Then why does the Trump
as criminal
administration get, or
actors are
Trump
looking
family
to
get away with
blockchains
it?
and cryptocurrencies, we can trace every transaction
You
on
know,
an
this is another question I have. Why didn't the government go to town on the Panama Papers and the Pandora Papers? Why didn't governments like worldwide just go to fucking town on those things? I don't really get it. Oh, there you go. That's right. I've seen AI call itself Mecha Hitler and then get hired by the DOD. Call me a cynic, but I don't trust AI that's so obviously easy to manipulate by techno-fascists. Agree, Meowing Star. Kind of strong Randian vibes to a lot of their old work. Oh, to Rush. We're talking about Rush. Yeah, I know, Max. I think you're double clicking on what Meowing Star was saying because of the Mecha Hitler. I don't understand. I haven't looked into that. I haven't heard about that, so I'd have to look into it. But I'm totally with you, Meowing Star. I think there's a lot of qualitative words being talked about, right? There's a lot of qualitative words. Wait, what car bombs? That's why. What do you mean? I don't understand. Wait, what did I say? Whatever I said.
open public ledger, right? There's no more bulk cash smuggling. There's TRM to track and
can't
trace the
remember what I
flow of
just
funds.
said.
So I think what we see right now is this
well.
really interesting convergence between
it's
AI
past.
crime, as we're going to discuss today, and crypto. And really, primarily, crypto is often the means of value transfer in these different crimes, right? You see these deep fake scams where they are scams trying
guys
to get
have much deeper
cryptocurrency
music
from,
knowledge than I do.
investors or users. They are ransomware actors who are supercharging attacks where cryptocurrency is the payment.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
significant
yeah. Car
difference
bombs,
now
that's
as we're
why. Oh,
investigating
okay,
crimes
got
as
you.
prosecutors and law enforcement is that we can trace and track
Yeah,
every
thank you.
one of those
Thank you, Badger.
payments on open public ledgers, which allow us to do financial crime investigation really
Might be a
better than
little
we've
high.
ever done it before.
Yeah, I just don't
Is there the
understand that.
ability, as you see it, to
I mean, I
pinpoint
get it.
with
I get
specificity
that.
criminal
But my
activity?
God.
And I would say more importantly,
Then
going
it's
back
just
to the
this-
trust that we
then we
need
should
in law
just-
enforcement, pinpointing criminal
What
actors,
ma-
because it's such a
nothing
foggy
matters then.
space to many people.
Guess that's what we're
Can
learning.
you
Nothing
pinpoint the
matters.
actual criminal as opposed to just criminal activity?
Crime is
It's a
crime is
great
legal.
question, and absolutely in many circumstances. What we're doing essentially at TRM is we're taking that raw blockchain data, right, those alphanumeric addresses,
Oh,
those crypto
nice.
wallets,
Nice,
and we're
Jane.
associating them with real-world entities. Oftentimes it's terrorist financiers, ransomware actors,
I have a lot of
sanctions,
friends,
for example.
love
And that
Rush.
allows law enforcement to then take that data and track and trace the flow of funds to build
And they
out
were kind of
networks.
music
Is there-
nerds,
Cartels
you
are a
know.
great example of that today. I'm sorry.
Is there a risk that cartels, terrorist states could use legitimate
As far as, like,
constructs
the
on the
80s.
blockchain?
teenager and
that are
music
developed
nerd
here in
way.
the United States for their own
for what it's
benefit,
worth.
therefore taking advantage of a legitimate structure or a legitimate software that's developed
This
here.
guy's boring me. I don't even know what they're
Absolutely.
talking
And I think
about.
the real challenge for regulators and policymakers is how to ensure that lawful
Let's
users.
go to the ranking member.
2020.
I recognize Ranking Member Ms. McBath.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just have to say that, you know, and just in listening to each and every one of the witnesses, I mean, I'm just really amazed at the depth of the use, criminal usage of AI. Really, thank you so
can't
much for
name
what
one meal
what
star.
you bring to the table today. But I do kind of want to talk a little bit about
they do the
facial
come sail
recognition.
away?
The Detroit Police Department reportedly conducted 129 facial recognition searches in 2020, and all on African-American people. And the following year,
I do like Tom Sawyer.
95.6% of the searches targeted Black people. Mr. Vinsky, how does the use of AI-enabled facial recognition comply with the Fourth Amendment's equal protection principles?
Yeah. The other,
It raises
the other
serious
one,
concerns.
the other
and
band.
as far as I know, there's not been a clear holding that equal protection principles are violated by the use of facial recognition technology, but it certainly raises those concerns because of the disproportionate impact we've seen that technology have on protected classes, particularly, as you said, Black people and in particular Black men. And we've also engaged in civil rights litigation to defend individuals who have been wrongly identified by facial recognition technology. To a large extent, this is a matter of process, ensuring that police departments have appropriate processes in place so that there
I had a ton
isn't
of friends
reliance
who loved
solely
them.
on a identification made by a facial recognition technology to bring in a suspect, that there isn't bias in lineups and things of that nature. But because of the certain threats that we've seen here and the ways that the technology can struggle in real world conditions, we have long stood by that there needs to be a moratorium for law enforcement uses of federal recognition technology.
Thank you for that. And it's just so interesting you should say that, because even on my phone, I have facial recognition, and sometimes it says, I don't recognize you. And I'm like, well, you know who I am. But of course, there's still problems with AI, and the technology still needs to be advanced. Mr. Vinsky, I'm going to ask you another question. What warrant requirements and limitations should be applied for facial recognition tools when they're used by law enforcement?
Well, as I said, our overall stance is that law enforcement should not be deploying the technology at all because of these underlying foundational issues of how it can struggle with a variety of protected classes in correctly identifying people, especially in real world conditions where lighting may not be ideal, where the surveillance footage may be grainy, and that can result in someone who's 8 months pregnant being apprehended for a crime where there clearly was not a pregnant person involved. The use of facial recognition technology may not necessarily implicate the Fourth Amendment, but as I said, it raises very serious concerns about perpetual surveillance, the ability of the federal government to identify individuals in public spaces going about their daily lives without any recourse, without any judicial oversight. And that is ultimately a policy question for legislators, city councils, and Congress to step up and regulate.
Thank you for that. And Dr. Bound, in your experience, have you found that AI-enabled tools used by law enforcement are tested and evaluated before they are deployed to ensure that they are safe and effective?
So in my experience in law enforcement as a prosecutor, recently as a supervising prosecutor, the tools that are being used are certainly going to depend on the jurisdiction that's using them. And so states, counties, certainly federal government, from my experience in the Department of the Air Force, law enforcement organizations that are starting to use these tools are relatively new users. In the Air Force, any AI tool is supposed to go through rigorous test and evaluation standards to ensure that it results in a certain quantified reliability, and that's very challenging to do with some of these tools, particularly when you're talking about edge cases like African American men. when they are not found frequently in data sets. And so those questions are being asked. I don't see, in my experience, the type of rigorous standards being established across the board by regulators. And so until that happens, law enforcement is going to try to keep up, and it's tempting to do that, but there's likely to be some gaps there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gentlelady yields. Now recognize the gentlelady from Florida, Ms. Lee, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome to our witnesses today. As a member of the House's bipartisan task force on artificial intelligence, I had the opportunity to work with members on both sides of the aisle to discuss a national approach to artificial intelligence that would encourage innovation, strengthen our global leadership, and also confront serious threats, including those like you all have been discussing here today.
I want to talk about all the minerals we need from all the other countries.
This technology.
Yeah.
Today's hearing, among other things, highlights one of the most urgent of those threats, which is the exploitation of children through AI.
Oh, yes, we
From
got to care
synthetic
about the
child
children.
abuse materials to predatory chatbots
She
to
really
real-time
cares about
location
children.
spoofing. We're seeing criminals use AI to expand both the scale
I know,
and
I had taught messages
sophistication
on too
of
for a long
their
time.
crimes. But AI can also, we know, be part of the solution. In cases like Operation Renewed Hope, AI helped federal agents identify and rescue minor victims who might otherwise have never been found.
Okay.
So one of the things that we're interested in doing is ensuring that
They're moving funds.
I'm just not. I'm not even going to
track and trace those funds.
This
in order
woman
to
doesn't care
ultimately
about
seize them
children.
back.
They
So
don't
really,
care
it's-
about
when you
trafficking.
ask, it's the tools and the
If they
training
did,
to-
they would have
to ensure
supported
that
the
every single
Trafficking
law
in
enforcement
Persons
and national
Office as
security
part of the State
professional
Department.
have
Period.
access to the same tools that many cyber criminals are using today.
they didn't, I don't even wanna hear
And
it.
obviously the funding necessary to support that, as well as the training.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. I recognize myself for 5 minutes, and I appreciate the testimony that we've had. I have a different line of questions for the next round, but things you've said in your testimony
Josh
and what I've heard in the first round makes me want to ask some specific areas. You don't have a lot of time to respond, so I'm going to ask, and I'm going to, because I want a quick response from every one of you. So one of you mentioned the Elvis Act in Tennessee, which prohibits the simulation of Elvis's voice. Basically, that's how that generated. What about any other person? So I'm thinking, what if you do it? If there's a deep fake of any other public figure,
You got it, babes.
and you have that
Ooh,
person
good
say
luck.
something
Had a
that's
phone interview.
pernicious,
Good
something
luck
that's
on that.
bad, something that's politically inflammatory, whatever. What do we have laws in place that would prohibit that, or is it just wild, wild west? We'll start with you, Mr. Redboard.
Sort of slightly more broadly, I would say that we have laws in place that absolutely cover a lot of these areas, but we're going to need to add AI to a lot of them. When I think about these issues, for example, when you talk about these types of scam activity that are being supercharged by AI,
why did you
we have
ask for a
wire fraud
pardon for
statutes
J6?
to address them.
Right, and we'll get into that too, but I'm talking specific. This is a specific case. So let's say you have a public figure and you have them say something that's totally outrageous, it's totally deep faked. You can't tell, the average person can't tell. If that person if that language was attributed to that person elsewhere, you might have a libel. I mean, it'd be a civil claim. You might have a civil claim of libel or defamation of character or something like that. Does that, in your opinion, exist when someone manipulates a deep fake to do something like that?
I think it would require adding additive measures to what we have today.
Mr. Vinsky.
That sort of speech lies at the core of the First Amendment's protections. It's commentary on politicians. And so, for example, when the
But it's not commentary on politicians. It's if, let's say with maliciousness, with malice, that's the word I'm looking for. With malice, you say that Andy Biggs said X, Y, that's just horrible. You put it in the New York Times, and you did it because you wanted to harm me.
And if you take, for example, the Republican National Committee's deepfake about President Biden announcing a draft for Ukraine, that's commentary on public events. But, of course, existing exceptions to the First Amendment still apply to AI. And that means.
So that's what I wanted to get at. That's what I wanted to hear from you, whether something like.
That's an interesting question.
A defamation, like New York
Defamation
Times does,
subject
which is why I
to-
specifically used New York Times.
That's exactly right.
Ms. Paramel, same question.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with the legal side, so I can talk more to the technology, but I do see that, that it is challenging detection.
Right,
on it.
thanks. Dr. Bao?
So there's this inherent friction that we see, and I agree with both Mr. Edward and Mr. Vinci, that what he describes here is likely protected under First Amendment. You have
Unless there's malice.
with malice. Now there's legal protection certainly from
Yeah, I
from a
mean, you can
civil
sue
right of action
civilly,
for
right?
If it were to be
For
let's,
defamation.
not to interrupt, I don't want to be rude to interrupt, but I do want to interrupt. What my question is, let's expand it. A true deep fake is so persuasive, you can't tell the difference side by side.
Is he trying to
of
talk
me
about the
over
Biden
here
thing again?
And the deep fake. We've had examples of parents, grandparents. They can't tell the difference between the deep fake and the voice of the kid. They look the same, they act the same. They're remarkable.
Okay.
How do I have protection, for instance, from someone doing that? I mean, and this is going to lead into the CSAM, which I was hoping I would have enough time to get to that, because it's the same type of deal where you see CSAM, which is so persuasive and sick and disgusting.
How
That's
much
all
CSAM
AI
have you
generated.
seen, Andy?
But can you, and we know this, I mean, you mentioned the one of the Ukraine thing. What remedy
He's really shook.
does someone have when they're a victim of
He is
this kind
shook.
of generative AI?
Mr. Chairman, if it were to fall under the
The ACLU shook Andy Biggs. The ACLU guy shooketh Andy Biggs to his very core, where now he can hardly put a fucking sentence together.
statute of like wire fraud, so you look at the
Hi, Scott.
intent of what's behind it, those are protections there. If it's to create misinformation, you certainly articulated the challenge and the potential harm that may not be outside of the law. And so there are gaps in protection.
Setting up,
when you're
I
facing
actually have that.
very harmful activity using deepfakes.
I have a passphrase
Thank you.
with my
We'll be talking about
daughter.
that in the future. So that ends the first round of questioning, and now for the second round of questioning, recognize the gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Knott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I got to say, I'm happy to have a second round so soon. I wish more members would show up because this is important. But selfishly, I'm enjoying the conversation. And all of you have basically indicated what was stated, either directly or indirectly, that computational power.
In the interest of time, I'm actually going to end this one because I do have to leave at like 9:30, which is an hour and a half, but still. And we've got other things. This is the transportation. That's the rural health one. Let me just make sure that there's a crypto one too that I'm kind of interested in. But the first thing I want to do, I think we might want to try the crypto one. But let me actually read something to you before we, because I do not want to forget about reading this, because this is like my number one thing today, and it's personal. Okay, here we go. So I want to read this story that Tina shared. The beautiful and amazing Tina. Oh, damn. Who is just one of the most wonderful people on the planet. No joke there. And look what happened. Now, for those of you who know, you'll know. But for those of you who don't, just know that the person I'm about to read about. Hi, Jim. Those ICE detentions are causing overflows at the animal rescue places. All their pets are being left behind. Huh. I think it would be pretty easy to prove I'm real to people who know me. I don't know. Okay, so this is from the Independent from yesterday. Notorious far-right troll ordered to pay up to $71 million in racketeering scheme where he pretended to be a spy. He pretended to be a spy? Well, who could that be? Well, let me tell you who it was. Let me tell you. Oh, God, The Independent has all these, things. Stop. Far-right blogger and Holocaust denier Charles C. Chuckle Cuck Johnson was ordered to pay at least $40 million after he was found liable in a civil racketeering case for falsely portraying himself as a U.S. intelligence asset in order to extort companies to give him large sums of money and equity. Because he was found liable for RICO counts, some of the damages awarded by the jury to the plaintiff will be tripled, resulting in a total of approximately $71 million that Johnson would be required to pay. Oh, it'll require the baby voice. So, yeah. Yes. Yep, Zev fell for it. Yep, they all fell for it. Eric Garland, that idiot. All right, because he was found liable. Okay, I'm disappointed.
I'm disappointed. I didn't break the record, but I'm pleased to be in the top 3.
Johnson told The Independent, sharing a screenshot of the largest pure defamation award and settlements in the United States over the past 5 years. I'll appeal and win on appeal, he added. No, you won't, bitch. Johnson, a notorious internet troll who briefly made a mark in the 2024 presidential election due to his past correspondence with J.D. Vance, was hit with a startling lawsuit last year by investment firm Point Bridge Capital and its founder, Hal Lambert, who said, "Not today, Chuckle Cuck." In the complaint filed in a Texas federal court, Lambert alleged that Johnson and his partner, business partner Gator Greenwill, had falsely presented themselves as intelligence agents or assets of the U.S. government agencies. Yep, that guy. As part of a fraud and extortion scheme. Chuckle Cuck. If a company or investor doesn't give in to their demands for equity or favorable investment terms, Johnson and Greenwill threatened to sabotage the company's contracts or funding under the guise of their false claims to be government agents. The lawsuit said Johnson had wrongfully succeeded in profiting from and gaining interest in these cutting-edge technology companies using this shakedown scheme. Oh, boy. The complaint alleged that Lambert first met Johnson in 2016 when the right-wing provocateur hit him up with an unsolicited offer to help raise money for a political candidate. Eventually, in late 2020, Point Bridge received a small investment from Johnson, which gave him a minority stake in its special purpose vehicle for the satellite imaging company Umbra Space. Additionally, Lambert also held a significant investment in Clearview AI, a facial recognition firm, which is why this is very relevant, that had previously purchased software from Johnson, which resulted in him earning a sales commissions and a stake in the company. Shortly after Johnson's investment in Point Bridge, the complaint noted he demanded $100 million in Umbra shares. When he was rejected, Johnson told an Umbra executive that he was with the Pentagon and could potentially destroy the company by ensuring it didn't receive any government contracts. He's such a fucking little idiot Nazi. In 2023, Lambert claimed that Johnson demanded money from Point Bridge and pointed to tweets boasting about his status as an FBI informant. "This might help you do the right thing," Johnson wrote to Lambert. And Johnson, who reportedly served as a confidential informant for FBI Special Agent Jonathan Booma, has also taken credit for brokering a relationship between the FBI and right-wing tech billionaire Peter Thiel. Just endless. Prior to this week's trial, the court had already entered a default judgment against Johnson for defaming Lambert and Point Bridge Capital. Therefore, the jury would simply decide on the amount of damages to award the plaintiff. Tony Ortiz, author of the Texas-based right-leaning Substack newsletter Current Revolt, was present at the trial on Monday and detailed the proceedings in a lengthy thread on X. Well, I will be reading that. Johnson showed up at court with a wrinkled suit. His tie was on backwards and was worn at the bottom. Ortiz pointed out, adding that Johnson did not have a lawyer and represented himself in court. What, is he just fallen apart or something? What happened? What's the matter, Chuckle? You not that big, brave fucking bully that you pretended to be? He also noted that Judge Mark Pittman expressed disappointment in Johnson's actions throughout the trial. In opening remarks, the plaintiff's attorney said that Johnson's false claims about Lambert, which included accusations that he worked for a cartel and was taking Russian money, had caused a 90% decrease in investments. Holy shit. Johnson said in his opening statement that he tended to get hot-headed and that it may be due to the gingerness in him. The blogger added that he was not wealthy and that his Substack wasn't widely read, in a seeming appeal to the jury. Lambert testified that Johnson demanded 50% of his company despite providing only an investment amounting to about 2% of the firm's worth. After Lambert refused to give Johnson half of his company, Johnson sent an email to 40 of Lambert's clients, warning them that they would be dragged into discovery during an investigation of Lambert and Point Bridge Capital. Wow. Charles Johnson is a complete liar. No shit. A sociopathic liar. I might just go farther and say psychopathic, but whatever. Lambert testified, claiming that Johnson's allegations led to Point Bridge seeing a drop in earned media as well as a loss of millions of dollars in client fees. I've always wanted to be an attorney. This is kind of fun, Johnson said at one point while cross-examining Lambert, though the judge would reprimand him and even threaten Johnson with contempt for asking irrelevant questions. The trial also saw Johnson cross-examine himself as a witness since he acted as his own attorney. At the end of the cross-examination, the judge stated that the entire thing was exhausting. Ortiz observed the judge likened Johnson's behavior to a child and said he was likely looking to be jailed so he could portray himself as a martyr. One of the plaintiff's expert witnesses, a private investigator who once vetted confidential informants for the FBI, poked holes in Johnson's boast about being an intelligence agent. At best, Johnson was a low-level informant for a low-level FBI agent, he said, adding that it is a lie that Johnson is working on behalf of the government. Meanwhile, during the recess of the trial, Johnson handed Ortiz a hand-scribbled note that said he was going to win, but not the game you think I'm playing. We're signing off with Bastille Day 2025. After all of Johnson's antics, which also saw him deliver a closing statement that mostly involved him ranting about losing his ex-wife, the jury took an hour to deliberate. Ultimately, they found him liable for $40 million. Under U.S. law, because this was part of a successful RICO civil suit, the court can triple the amount of the compensatory damages, which could leave Johnson on the hook for $71 million. Well, let me tell you, this, the gingerness in him, I'd like to poke some gingerness. So Chuck Johnson, and if you don't know, the Gal Squad has some very personal history with Chuck Johnson, not me, but he went after Gal Suburban and doxed her family, found ways to harass her over a long period of time because Gal had uncovered so much about one of his besties, Matt Gaetz. So we are very familiar with Chuck Johnson, and he really did a number on threatening and being just a fucking asshole and a stalker. So this is great news for Gal Squad and Gal Suburban in particular, because he did quite the number trying to harm her, basically. So I think all the bad things can happen to Chuck Johnson as far as I'm concerned. And I'll be happy. I want to see him cry. And it sounds to me like even though they think this was some kind of little act, sounds to me like he actually is just falling apart at the seams. And I don't know if Matt Gaetz is taking his phone calls these days, but I doubt it. So what's the matter, Chuckle Cuck? Did you lose? Karma coming back right up your ass? I hope so. I hope you cry. I hope you cry at night because you've lost it all. And we will dance on your grave. So there's that. Anyway, it's always good news when some asshole gets. Oh wait, the thread. I need to read the thread. Hold on. I'm gonna. I know you guys. I understand. But I wanna read this. Okay, during the questioning of an email, Johnson disputed that the email was real. He would then, in the same testimony, dispute the date. The judge questioned Johnson as to how he could dispute the date while also claiming that the email wasn't real. Johnson would then allude to some conspiracy theory about his email had been hacked by Elon Musk. The judge noted how unusual it was for Charles Johnson. Wait, what? The judge noted how unusual it was for Charles Johnson to publicly brag about being a government asset. The judge would also state that Johnson's behavior on the stand was similar to a child and that Johnson likely wanted to be jailed to become a martyr. Because Johnson was representing himself, he was then given the opportunity to cross-examine himself.
We'll do this. We'll do dramatic. We'll do dramatic reading. Oh, wait. Is that the top? Should I read the top of it? Well, I can go at the top. Okay. Judge, should I refer to myself as Mr. Johnson, Mr. Chuckle Cuck, Chucky, Chaz? What do you think? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and refer to myself as Mr. Johnson. Is it true that you were possibly directed to go after the media apparatus, formerly known as Gawker Media? And then I said, why, yes, Mr. Johnson, that is true. Let's see. During Johnson's cross-examination of Dennis Brady, who's someone else, he started by failing to give a proper compliment to Brady and asked odd questions about hot tubs and steak dinners. Johnson also asked a lot of hypothetical questions that made no sense. This is the note. Oh my God. He scribbled something I forgot to note earlier. During a recess, I had an off-the-record discussion with Johnson, but at one point he scribbled a note in my notebook and said I could publish. Here's that note. I am going to win. But not the game you think I am playing. Charles Johnson, Bastille Day, 2025. And then I started my speech. My favorite movie is The Count of Monte Cristo. I feel like I might be the Count of Monte Cristo. You know, the one with Leonardo DiCaprio when he was really, really young, I think. You know that one? That's my favorite version of it. That's the one I like. I don't like the old one. I like the one with Leonardo DiCaprio. I think he's the best. That's it. Period. I don't have any money, Your Honor. So I don't even know why we're here, because if I don't have any money, you know that old saying, I think it's from the Bible or something, you can't get blood from a turnip. So I think that's what I think is, Your Honor. I don't think I need to pay anybody anything, because I wasn't really lying, and the guy was almost. All I did was ask him for 50% of his company. It's not like I mean, yeah, maybe I was really mad. Okay, so I might have gotten super mad, and I might have like threatened him with some like investigation or something like that. Oh, maybe I sent an email, but I didn't think I had all those names. You know how sometimes in your email, like Gmail, like it stacks things and like you don't know which email chain you're replying to. You know what I mean? So I think that's how the 40 people heard about what I was saying about the company, which I was really just saying to myself. You know how sometimes like if you don't have a diary, like you'll send yourself an email. Do you ever do that, Your Honor? Do you ever send yourself an email saying, I want to remember this, or I want to do this, or this is how mad I am, and I'm just going to send myself an email about it so that, like I can just get it all out. Well, this time it was one of those Gmail things, I think, and it was stacked, and I wasn't sure who was on the Gmail chain, and then I just hit reply all. And that's it. I don't think that's a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes, okay? Even me. So whatever. But okay. Yeah, just try and get the money. Try and get the money from me. Go ahead. I don't know where I'm going to get it. I don't even know what money is. Huh. So there.
All right, that's that's all I can. That's more than enough. But I really enjoyed that. Thank you. Thank you for that opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. Okay. Back to life, back to reality. This is on crypto. So I do want to kind of keep going with this and see how interesting it is or uninteresting. Yeah, wasn't blood from a turnip one of Moses' miracles when competing with the Pharaoh's magicians? Yes. Yes. It was. It was the blessed turnip event. The tournament of the blessed turnip. That's what it was. Count of Monte Cristo was a good movie. Yes, Haggard. Yes. Yeah. All right.
Bad actors, and that we
Oops.
ensure
Now
fair
this is
tax
low.
treatment for
There
all.
we go.
We must work to strengthen rather than weaken the guardrails in place to protect Americans. Earlier this year, President Trump launched his own meme coin. The media has reported that these coins have no intrinsic value, but have netted him over $300 million in fees. It is alarming that 80% of the coins market were held by the Trump family and its partners. I came to Congress to fight for families in my rural community of Alabama, and not to further aggrandize the president. I think all of us could agree that it's pretty alarming that anything that we do will have direct consequences on our president and his family. And it's something I think that we need to put guardrails on for the future. With that, I am excited to hear from all of our witnesses, and I yield back the rest of my time.
Thank you. All right, our witnesses. Summer Mercer is CEO of Blockchain Association. Sarah Riley is Vice President and Senior Counsel at Fidelity Investments. Allison Manjuri.
Why does this guy sound like a...
Manjuro is Head of Staking Policy and Industrial Affairs at the Crypto Council for Innovation. Jason Summer Shanto. Santos, I was sort of close. Is Director of Policy at Coin Center. Corey Frey is Director of Investment, Protection, and Consumer at the Consumer Federation of America. Freyer. See, that's why I wanted her to introduce you. All right. You each have 5 minutes, and then when we get to questions, we'll go back and forth and see the education of members of Congress and our staff. Please have it.
Thank you, Chairman Schweikert, Ranking Member Sewell, and members of the subcommittee. My name is Summer Mersinger, and I'm CEO of Blockchain Association. We're the leading collective voice of the digital asset industry in the United States, representing more than 130 of the most innovative job creators and stakeholders in the blockchain economy.
I'm sorry, I'm doing something really silly, but this is just what my day is like. So sorry, you have to play along. Whoa, 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 that's too much noise. Okay. This is what I want us to watch. This is the Sean Duffy. We're going to cut in on the Sean Duffy thing.
According to the Miami Herald, based on deaths per million miles traveled. This is a distinction that I want to end. We need an all of the above approach to address this crisis. That means investing in rail safety programs like consolidated rail infrastructure and safety improvements and railroad crossing elimination programs. And we also need to increase investments in quad gate technology and fencing to help secure highway grade crossings. I'm proud to see the Northeast Corridor moving forward at the federal level. But the North Corridor has been in the works for over 40 years, and we need federal action. Secretary Duffy, in October 2024, the department announced a $25 million infra grant award to Port Miami. This investment will continue to spur growth at Port Miami, an amazing economic engine that is responsible for 340,000 jobs and an economic impact of $61 billion. I want you to advise the department plans to obligate these funds for this critical infrastructure project in fiscal year 2026.
So maybe starting on that first, I don't see any issue with the board obligating that announcement. I'd like to take a look at it as well, but I would see nothing wrong with that. It seems like it would be in line with also the president's priorities as well. In regard to Brightline, I think is what you're referring to. There are way too many deaths there, and I know that it's a big story in regard to just people not following traffic signs. There's some suicides and there's accidents as well. And I commit to working with you to drive down the number of deaths, making investments along that line. So I'd welcome that opportunity. And it's also hard. If you're on a train where someone loses their life, it's not like the person or their family that lost their life, but I know many Republicans were on a train where that very thing happened, and it's horrible for everybody involved, and we have to try to get that number to zero.
I have a whole bunch of questions to submit to you for answers, so I'm going to call you because 3 or 5 minutes is not sufficient. So I'll be calling you about the World Cup, support for the World Cup, Broad Causeway and Bay Harbor Islands, North Perry Airport and Pembroke Pines, rail crossing improvements, labor unions, black aerospace professionals, traffic congestion, public transit investment, Port Miami, the North Corridor, and Northeast Corridor.
We are going to have a long conversation, I guess.
That's right.
FIFA is, yes, I want to support that. We have a huge role in FIFA in making sure transit works, and this is a showcase of America. We'll need your help with the resources for that, but yes, we can talk about the others on the phone call.
Thank you.
We'll have to schedule like an hour and a half.
That is quite a yellow. Well, then
Just
get
a little
ready. And
housekeeping
bring a fucking
here.
lunch, bitch.
3 minutes is the time. To help keep things on course, I'm going to tap the gavel with 20 seconds to go. And so just be listening for the gavel tap.
Go ahead.
This
Tap
is to
away.
accommodate all
Who's
members.
the
Hopefully we know
trad
the
rad
Secretary
wife
has a hard
behind
stop.
him?
Mr. Nels.
Sorry.
Thank you,
I'm in
Mr.
a bad
Secretary.
mood.
I
No, I'm
believe
not.
the future is very bright, right? The Senate confirmed Mr. Bedford the other day, the FAA administrator. I think he's going to do a great job. You're doing a fantastic job. One big, beautiful bill, $12.5 billion. Down payment, agree. Get the other $8 billion. I think we can do it. I think we'll have bipartisan support. We have to, right? We have $12.5 billion for modernizing the ATC. I think it's bigger than that. I think it's modernizing the NAS, the National Airspace. It's got bringing in the new entrants. We got to bring it all together. It's just more than the ATC. 100%. It's just more than ATC. The Modern Skies Coalition, all on board with your plan, with the president's plan. I think it's great. We're bringing in stakeholders. I'm having monthly meetings with all these stakeholders, these smart people, right? The smart people, the industry leaders, gifted, talented people. We're meeting every month to talk about what is modernizing the ATC. What the hell does that really even mean? So we're bringing all these people together. We're doing good. I know you're doing what you're doing. We will all come together. It's going to take all of us. We owe it to the American people and the people that travel. We owe them the gold standard. We want to claim the gold standard, and we certainly owe it to the 67 lives that were lost over the Potomac. We must do better, and we can do better, and it's going to require all of us to work together. The supersonic, the president out there was talking about supersonic. We should do that. We should get that done.
More Canadian music.
I filed a bill on this thing. To get supersonic, we haven't had it since '73. What are your thoughts on it? Don't you think we need to move in that direction?
100% I agree.
Who's going to bring up
We need to
Celine?
allow this. There's new innovation, computer technology, how sound waves bounce off the atmosphere. Yeah, we can do this. We should do this.
We should. I mean, by 2030, United Airlines, they've ordered 15 from Boom. I mean, it's there.
It's real.
The boom won't hit the ground, so those that are concerned about grandma's going to be in her kitchen and the window's going to break is all ridiculous. So that's not going to happen. So this is a great thing, and I want to continue to work with you on our legislation to get this and move it forward as it fits right in line with President Trump's goals and objectives. And one other thing, the joint ventures with Allegiant. So we both agree with President Trump that our government must function in a timely manner to truly benefit the American people. To this end, Allegiant and Viva Bus Aerobus joint venture is a great example of this, and their application's been pending for 3.5 years by DOT. The previous administration neglected it.
Yeah.
And we just want to make sure that the alliance application for Allegiant and Viva, while allowing legacy carriers, Delta has it. Delta has a deal down with Aeromexico. We need to do this for Allegiant.
He's calling it
and allow
Allegiant?
people to travel
What's
to
he
the
calling
islands.
it? Allegiant?
Low carrier people. We got to do this. I need a commitment from you that we'll look into this. It's your signature.
I had a brief on this very issue 6 weeks, two months ago.
Yeah.
I will look at it again and let's stay.
I want to talk to you. Maybe I'll see you in Oshkosh next week.
I would welcome that.
Thanks.
I'll be there.
Why do they all have to travel anywhere? They don't have to travel anywhere.
Thank you. I appreciate following Mr. Nels, who I have the privilege of working on implementation on FAA.
Why don't you
so
marry him?
I think I'm going to be on the list like Ms. Wilson, where I'm going to come see you if you will have me come.
If you go to Oshkosh, we could do it there too with
We can go with Troy. I just won't wear his footwear. And I want to congratulate you on Hannah being behind you, and what a great hire that is.
He's been fantastic.
Some things, first of all, I'll do my own district issue.
Yeah, low
we have a
warrior
mega grant
ethos.
that I've worked on since we both had dark hair. It's $166 million. It's in the 680 corridor. Major business presence, Chevron, Safeway, AT&T. We work closely with the business community, so I'd like to follow up with you and see where that is. And I have had a bipartisan frustration with multiple departments in Region 9 over so project delivery, I'd love to work with you on that. Getting a project like that out that's been multiple RTPs to get it done that we have consensus on.
I will take a look at that and get back to you on where we're at, and I'm sure Hannah will help with that too.
Okay. We always go to the staff first. We're always in charge.
It's our secret.
I'd like to talk to you about something that we disagree on, but I'd like to do it more in a conversational way. As someone who's been very involved in air quality in California, I've served under Republican governors and Democratic governors on the California Air Resources Board, and the ability to have choice. I was fortunate enough to get the Clean Corridor bill in and passed with billions of dollars for charging stations. And I don't know if you saw the New York Times story recently about the Chinese in BYD. It's a heavily subsidized car company, but we've got to have choices. And regardless of what your feeling is about climate change, there's a market for choices, but they've got to have the infrastructure. So the Chinese now have 3 million, I think, Chinese charging stations. They're closing in on Toyota in terms of capacity. They're dominating the Asian market. How do we work in a way that gives consumers choices? And even though I have a very heavy fossil fuel presence in my district, 5 refineries, Chevron, you wouldn't be surprised in the Bay Area, people are early adapters. So how do we work on this in a way that's agnostic in terms of, as strongly as I believe in climate change, from an economic competitiveness, we're losing the competitiveness in this market to the Chinese?
Well, I like the form of your question. I do believe in competitiveness
couple,
too, and I
not
believe
many,
in personal choice.
But I've gotten a couple.
I don't think this body or the DOT should try to force people to buy things they don't want. And so in northern Wisconsin, EVs don't work so well. There's no chargers, and it's really cold, and batteries don't work well when it's cold. We saw this in Chicago a couple of years ago. So I think in certain regions, in urban areas, it's probably more popular. In more rural areas, in northern areas, it's not as much. And that's why I think people should have the right to choose. And again, I don't think we should put our thumb on the scale one way or the other.
And we could look at subsidies equally. As the fossil fuel industry has been subsidized for decades, this industry has to be subsidized.
Yeah, exactly.
So that'll be on my list when I come to see you, and I hope Hannah will be in that meeting.
Deal. We'll make sure.
Okay, let's stop with the weird
3 minutes
fucking
goes
weirdness
fast,
about
Mr.
Hannah.
Stalker.
Secretary Duffy, it's great to see you again. You're doing a great job in baptism by fire the first days. You really did a tremendous job, and we all thank you. Earlier this year, the president made fiscal responsibility a priority, and he asked our department heads to conduct audits of how their agencies were spending taxpayer dollars. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle and the media decided to fearmonger and spread misinformation about what this was meant for the projects across the country, to review them and look at the spending. Could you take a moment to share what the goals of this audit were and what you were able to achieve?
So at DOT, again, the last administration put in a lot of requirements around social justice and around the green priorities, which, by the way, the Congress didn't put those priorities in, the last administration did. So what I've done is tried to pull those out, and it's important because that means that you can put more of that money toward building the project as opposed to all the requirements around the money that the Congress didn't contemplate. And so that has been a key part of it. You know that we're trying to do more with less in our department, streamline our staffing, all the while protecting the safety positions. But can we do more with less and save the taxpayer money? We've done a lot on contracts. We saved $1 billion in some wasteful contracts where we don't get big deliverables.
Can we see the analysis on that?
We've looked at all those, and we want to make sure that people provide great service for the money that we give. And if you don't, we're getting rid of the contracts.
So
Can we see the analysis on that, please?
I want to be very clear. So a project like the Blotnick Bridge in Minnesota that connects Minnesota and Wisconsin was never in jeopardy.
No.
Those are the type of projects we want, correct?
Of course, great big projects.
Thank you.
I just reviewed Blotnick, I think yesterday or 2 days ago. That's a great project, a great bridge that connects our two states.
There was some fear-mongering about that, so I wanted to make it clear. So in my district, the Duluth International Airport, an airport I know you have flown out of, has the third oldest air traffic control tower in the country. It is in rough condition, and Mr. Secretary, and that's the nicest way I can describe it. Yet, despite the inadequacies, Duluth International Airport provides a critical role in generating local employment by supporting regional aviation activity, joint civil military operations, and all businesses located in Duluth, roughly 4,000 jobs. It also contributes an estimated $1.4 billion to the economy. First, Mr. Secretary, I would like to extend an invitation for you to visit the air traffic control tower.
I'd welcome that.
And then second, could you share how critical air traffic control tower infrastructure is to your vision for modernizing air traffic control?
Listen, it's critical. Again, a lot of the towers and TRACONs and the centers are becoming dilapidated. And it's our job to actually rebuild them and make them worthy of the greatest country on earth. And therefore, the equipment we put in is also the best in the world.
Our air safety is a gold standard.
Gold standard.
Yeah. I hope this Congress can provide the necessary financial investments to make modernization a reality. Additionally, we need to provide your agency with the flexibility it requires so that towers like Duluth, which is locally owned but FAA operated, are not left behind in your mission to modernize. And I would ask that you would take that into consideration, and this body as well.
100%.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for your great work.
100%. All I have to do is tell you that.
Thank you,
Fantastic.
Mr. Chair.
I can
Thank
do
you for
that.
coming here today, Secretary Duffy. I want to extend my gratitude to you and your team for being responsive on my staff's inquiries, my personal inquiries regarding some grant issues in the Goleta and San Ynez areas of my district.
Right, I understand.
While the grants haven't been released, I just want to say I find it very refreshing of the professionalism and the responsiveness of your staff. So I wanted to give you those kudos. Secretary, while we all support infrastructure, we can do more to bring the cost of these projects down as we draft our next highway bill. I'm familiar with recycled asphalt pavement, RAP, and understand that RAP accounts for over 90 million tons of pavement material. This is the most recycled product in the country. Yet many state DOTs lag well below the national average of 20% of their mixes using RAP. I find this odd given RAP brings costs down by using less virgin material, reduces truck traffic, minimizes air emissions, and keeps usable material out of the landfill, while still delivering a superior quality construction material. Can you commit to working with me and our state DOT partners on how we can better educate and incentivize state DOTs to use RAP pavements where appropriate and in their local projects?
100%, I'd welcome that partnership.
Thank you. Mr. Secretary, for decades, the federal government has required commercial service airports to use Florentine firefighting foam containing PFAS. The FAA Reauthorization Act of 2024 included my bill, the PFAS Act, and established a new grant program to support airports in transitioning to fluorine-free alternatives.
Now RAP, baby.
Assuming we get our act together in Congress through appropriations and appropriate the necessary funds, is there an implementation plan in place to facilitate this transition? And two, in the interim, what guidance and assistance is being provided to airports regarding the transition and use of PFAS-free foams?
I would tell you that do we have an implementation plan yet? We're actually working on a lot of the grants coming out the door and ATC modernization. But as money comes, we will develop a plan. Would welcome consultation with you, the author. But
what? See, here's my, I don't know how many of you folks have worked in a setting where you have like projects that a team is working on to accomplish the project and all that kind of stuff, right? Have you ever been in those meetings where someone might be reporting out on their project? And imagine you're in that meeting and you're probably like 3 months or so into the project. And one person says, "Oh yeah, you mean the directive that was given at the beginning of the project? Oh yeah, I'll look into that." Can you imagine that? I mean, it's happened. So, I mean, but it usually is an extreme. And it's not usually something I look to, hopefully something as sophisticated, if you will, as maybe a high-level federal government agency. I know there's still I just know the nature of project management is that that great performing teams are rare, right? There's always something, right? So I just find it really fascinating that we now have, that people just take that so easily and not question how vapid and just unacceptable that type of response is. It's really fascinating to me. And that's why I don't trust anyone to really take over a government and redo it. It doesn't really matter what side of the ideological spectrum you're on. I'm just going by the sheer numbers involved in how good a project management team will be and what the odds are. And the odds aren't always, they're not in your favor. I mean, you could be mediocre, but you're never going to, you don't always have those situations where people really knock it out of the park. I mean, maybe you do, but, so I find it really interesting that this is an acceptable, that to me is just a totally, what? Wait, we passed that law, everything's fine, and you're just not, you haven't even looked at it yet? What the fuck? You haven't developed a plan? You're going to wait till the money is allocated to you and then you're going to plan? What? This is so dumb. Maybe it's me. Maybe this is why I don't work anymore in that setting. All right. I tell you what, I am going to have to leave because I need to get ready for this appointment. And then I will, and then I will be back tomorrow morning for Wake and Bake. And there's a lot of stuff that I wanted us to get to today that we didn't get to. So I think I'm actually going to put those in the description as like part of the too long didn't read section or too late didn't read. So that there's more clips, but more stuff that for you to look at. But there is a few things I wanted. I got to a couple things though I wanted to, but there's more. Yes. So thank you so much for coming this morning, spending a little bit of time here at the lounge. And I will definitely see you tomorrow morning. And I'll see you on Discord in the meantime, after I get back from my appointment. Okay. All right. I love you guys. Take care. Have a great Wednesday. And try and enjoy it. It's rough these days.